Aho to ye travellers, cometh young, cometh old. 'Tis adventure we seek for the meek and the bold. A knight and a wizard who drink smashes sour have a magic crusade for you this questing hour.
Welcome back, travelers.
Welcome back,
to a
travelers.
very special and brief episode, because this is a very, very long topic that we could go on about
It is. Yeah.
forever. So I think
Literally forever.
we're gonna make this episode for today really short. Just a little preview for our longer episode that will be coming out next week.
Yeah. So, what we're talking about this week is Dante and the Divine Comedy.
The overarching history of Dante and the bit about the Divine Comedy that we will break down into some more pieces next week.
Yeah, it's so much and it's so dense. And there's so many things that are referenced in pop culture and in conversations about ethics and morality and all the things that we talk about on here. So it's going to take us a while to dig through. But today we're just going to give you a little overview about what is Dante? What is the Divine Comedy anyway?
Well, let me tell you. His name is Dante. All right, hold on. He's an Italian poet and writer, so I can't say this in Italian.
I think it's like Alighieri.
That's what I was saying.
Yeah.
Okay, Alighieri makes sense. His name is Dante Alighieri, and he was born sometime between May and June in 1265, Florence, Italy.
Florence, Italy, as you may recall, is where the Italian Renaissance was born.
What? I had no idea.
In this time, yeah. So he's a big part of it. This is one of the huge pieces of literature that came out of that time. Mm-hmm. And the Divine Comedy is kind of a story about life and death and humanity and morals. And kind of coming to terms with like the old world ideas about like religion and the new world ideas about enlightenment and individuality and, you know, the human spirit and kind of where those two collide. And so it's widely regarded as one of the best pieces of literature of all time. And it's also enormous. And throughout it, it's first person, which I think is interesting for the time, that it's not like an old-timey tale about some random guy. It's like, I'm Dante, and I'm going through this story myself.
Yeah.
And so Dante goes on an adventure through heaven, purgatory, and hell, and kind of comes to his own understanding about what all three of those things mean within his life as a human during the Renaissance. And it's like, it's a lot. So we could definitely unpack it forever.
Yeah, he definitely was like, he was known to be a political thinker and a moral philosopher, and it really just ties in all sections of his thoughts and his life, just broken down into these three parts of the Inferno, the Purgatorio, and the Paradiso.
Yeah. So I was reading a little bit of it. The first part is Inferno, where he goes through like the 9 circles of hell, which are I
feel like that's the most famous part. Yeah,
it's the most famous part is when he's going through the circles of hell and everyone's being tortured and there's crazy imagery. I was like, this is pretty bleak.
Every circle is a different thing.
Yeah,
like I've looked into the circles because the circles are very similar to like there are very famous things in there where you have like for example the 7 deadly sins. It's kind of broken up into those bits and pieces plus some extra things, and it's like the sections of hell, you're punished based on those specific sins in the way that the sins would operate. So if your sin was like adultery, like you would then become the one that is like it is against, and it's like very dark.
It is so bleak. And I was wondering, why is this called a comedy? Why is it called a Divine Comedy?
This funny.
This seems pretty terrible for everyone involved, right?
Yeah.
But the reason it's called a comedy is because it was not written in Latin, which is what all professional works of literature were written in that time, and it was written in Italian, which was like the native language of his people. Yeah. And so it couldn't be considered during the time like a professional dramatic piece of work, and instead it was a work for everyone, which in that time they called comedies.
Oh.
So it's not like funny haha. It's like this is what life is about, like a slice of humanity, kind of. Not funny at all, really.
Yeah. It's like a roundabout way of being like, okay, this isn't real enough to be literature, so you can't claim it to be real literature.
Right.
When it's one of the most prolific pieces that everyone knows what Dante's Inferno is. I feel like at least the first part of the comedy, you know?
Yeah.
But what I found interesting is that he began working on this during his exile from his home city in Florence.
Okay.
Yeah, so this was kind of like his mid years, and he was exiled from Florence, and he started working on the comedy to express his crisis and the way his whole life was falling apart. And in the sense, the Divine Comedy is his darkest night.
It really is. Well, the very first, so it's split up into what they call cantos or songs in English, and the very first one is him being lost in the woods and being led by an older author, Virgil, into hell. And Virgil's like, okay, you're literally lost in the woods. You have no idea where you're going. You don't know how to move on from your life at this point. The only way out is through. And that's the rest of the story.
That's literally what the darkest
literally reflecting his life.
Yeah, and I imagine like that's where a lot of his like political commentary and the morals come in, because if he's at a time in his life where like he's probably by himself, he's in his writer's seclusion because of his exile, he's alone, the world's against him in this way, and he's using this work to express like all the shit that's fucked up with the world. Ooh, dolphin noises.
But yeah, and in some of the cantos, some of the people that he meets in all these layers of hell that are being punished for their sins, he's often very like sympathetic towards them. And he's like, well, I understand why they did that, because like they're human. There's one story about Francesca and Paolo, which is one of my favorite stories. They had an affair in the like when they were alive, because she was betrothed to somebody else. It was like an arranged marriage, but she fell in love with Paolo and they had an affair. And so they're being punished in hell. And he's like, well, I don't really think they deserve all this because they were just in love with each other.
Yeah, and it's just wild to think about. And it gives it such a, even though like he's human having to go through all this, it gives it such like a outwardly perspective of humanity and what it means to be human, or what it means to be people who are, you know, listening to temptation or sinners in a way, because hell or some form of hell is usually a religious concept.
Right.
And so like that idea is just, you know, it's very interesting to think about in terms of what sins are actually sinful or not.
Right. Yeah. It's very interesting. So I'm excited to unpack more stories. There's one about Ulysses. He meets Ulysses, who is the man who came up with the idea of the Trojan horse in the battle of whatever they were fighting. Troy? Is it Troy, I think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. And so he's in hell being punished for that, even though in other stories such as the Odyssey and the Iliad, that's framed as like a heroic thing to do. So it's going to be interesting to see where we fall on either side of these spectrums as we unpack these more. I'm excited.
I'm very excited because, like I said, I pretty much only know the Inferno part. I didn't know that it was part of a whole, like, huge long poem that was this giant
enormous
work of art. Like, I would love to read the entire thing, honestly, because I feel like I've seen some like movies that always reference Dante's Inferno. I've seen some books that are about Dante's Inferno.
Yeah.
Like I can't wait to dive deeper into it, because it's just it's got to be dark and I want to know.
Right. Yeah. I'm excited. Actually, Hozier's newest album, Unreal on Earth.
Yes.
Every song is corresponds to a layer of hell in Dante's Inferno.
Exactly.
And the more I learn about Dante's Inferno, and I'm like, wow, that man is a genius. Also, I get it. I mean, there's literally a song called Francesca. Yeah, and then like the Gluttony, there's a song called Eat Your Young.
Yep.
Yeah.
So the first circle is limbo. And then the second circle is lust. The third circle is gluttony. The fourth is greed. The fifth is anger. The sixth is heresy. Seventh is violence. The 8th is fraud, which is interesting.
Crazy that's so
That
low.
is the yeah. And the 9th is treachery. The 9th
Ooh.
circle is the deepest and apparently where Satan resides.
Yeah.
And then there's the center of hell.
Mm-hmm. That's crazy.
So
well, I'm excited to go on this adventure
I
with
know,
you through
I
the 9
can't
circles of
wait.
hell.
Through the 9
Can't
circles.
wait, I can't
Maybe
wait.
we would do one episode per part
circle.
of the
we
Divine
could
Comedy.
find that much content.
I
for
think
sure.
we could find
Yeah.
so much.
Yeah.
If y'all want to see us talk about all 3 parts separately, just so they are talked about thoroughly and well,
we do them justice. Yeah.
Yeah, just to
I'd
make sure that
definitely be
we.
down for that.
I would too. I
Yeah,
think we should
actually,
do it.
Yeah, I think we should. Okay, we'll do it.
All right, it's done.
Okay, we're done.
We're talking about Dante for the next 3 episodes, guys.
The next 3 years.
No, I like this because these are like, obviously, you know, he's from when the Renaissance are born, but I think these years where he, you know, lived in and ended up writing the Divine Comedy is very interesting because it's not what you would think of when you think of medieval, but he is considered like medieval writer, like a medieval poet.
Right? It seems very much more, in my mind, it's more like highbrow than other medieval literature.
Yeah.
It seems more complex
Yeah.
than other things, but that might just be me.
I like that as we're doing this history, it's really reframing my definition of what medieval is.
Yeah.
For sure. Like,
for sure.
I am learning so much, and I hope that you guys are too.
Yeah.
Because I don't know any of the things that me and Maggie talk about. We literally research them beforehand.
Oh, we do crazy amounts of research.
Set up the PowerPoint, and like we tell each other fun facts off camera, and then like we're like really doing the work, guys.
And it's so much fun. And I feel like we're learning so much.
Yeah. Absolutely.
We're kind of geniuses now. What can I say?
Yeah, we're historians.
We're smart. We're so smart.
But yeah, so that is, you know, the Divine Comedy and Dante. And I think the Divine Comedy is, I don't know if that's his only piece of work, but it is by far his most prominent, well-known piece of work. Probably the longest, yeah. And I'm sure as a poet and a philosopher, he probably has thousands and thousands of writing and works of art. Yeah. So I'm not even stressing about it. I'm gonna see if I can find some, and then we could talk about it before we get into the Inferno next week.
Yeah, that'd be really
cool. That would be really cool.
Yeah.
Just to get into that. I got all the notes on the circles though, so I'm really excited.
Yeah, good stuff. I'm so excited.
But yeah, so
it's gonna be a big adventure. I'm excited.
And sorry for the short episode, y'all. Maggie and I have been really busy.
Oh my god, it's been ridiculous.
It's been so horrible. We literally have been so busy. We're like, all right, let's record this day, and then that day happens and it passes, and we're like, oh my god, wait.
I literally wasn't even home until 9:30. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, so it's been really hard for Maggie and I to schedule because, you know, we live in different time zones and we have different jobs and we're doing a whole bunch of different things. So bear with us, but we didn't want to leave y'all hanging. We just wanted to give y'all a little taste of hell before we get there.
Sprinkling of what's to come.
A little sprinkling.
It's actually getting a little spooky for spooky season too, which I'm very excited about.
Perfect, getting into that fall season.
Yes. Oh my god.
But
there's only one thing left to do.
Yes. I want to give you an R request though, since Maggie mentioned it. Yeah. I want you guys to listen to the entire Hosier album.
Yes. This is in preparation promo. Yeah. Listen to it.
Shameless.
And
listen to it. Really, he's such a lyricist, like a poet, a magical genius.
It's his own story in itself. Yeah.
No, seriously, it's its own story in itself. You can see the inspiration that he draws from. And if you don't understand the songs after you listen to them, I'm sure there's articles or videos where he talks about it. Definitely look into it because it's really interesting. He's a magical human being.
Oh my god, he's so good. He's so good.
For your main quest, Maggie.
Your main quest, well, me and Ari and our friends have been talking about reading a lot recently. Friends are trying to get back into reading, trying to, engage our brains a little bit. And I was like, I read
Yes.
probably a book a year, maybe, if I'm lucky. But I love reading and I really try to do it. So our side quest for this week is to read a book. And I'd say try to finish a whole book in 1 week. By next Monday, try to finish a whole book. Even if it's a short one, like you picked an easy read. That's what I do if I'm trying to finish a book.
Yeah,
Pick
the
something
short
short and
one's
sweet
really
and
nice.
easy.
I definitely recommend Ocean at the End of the Lane.
Yeah, yeah.
I cried my eyes out.
Oh.
But also, what's it called? I just got back from my neighbor's house, and she said, it's August, y'all. She said that she's read at least, bare minimum, 60 books this year.
Bruh. Oh my god.
60! I was like, that is an incredible number. Like, some people don't even read one a month,
Yeah.
So definitely read a book.
Read a book. Read a book. I just
and
finished...
add me on Goodreads if you want.
Yeah,
my name is
do
Luna's
that.
Lore.
We'll plug it in the captions and everything. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I love it.
But those are your quests. Hosier and read a book.
Read up. Get ready. Get a nice pumpkin spice. Sit by a window. Read a little book. It's my favorite thing to do. Yeah.
Okay.
Pumpkin is back, baby.
She getting all festive over there.
Getting festive. I can't help it. The second it's like
I know. I'm
not
trying
80
to refrain.
degrees in the morning.
Yeah. That's exactly. I'm trying to refrain at least until the weather is bearable.
Yeah. I wore like a sweater to work and I'm like, okay, it's Halloween. I'm ready.
But those are your quests.
Yeah.
Let us know how they go on all of our socials at Questing Hour Podcast, Questing HR Podcast. And tag us with our hashtag at hashtag MyQuestingHour.
Tell us what book you're reading. Tell us what your favorite Hosier song is. And we'll see you here Thursday with a super special guest.
See you later.